Back on the show, it's Modestas Bukauskas, who had a huge win, this time at UFC 284 over Tyson Pedro, and his return to the UFC octagon. Modestas, how are you?
Yes, doing very well. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for having me on here.
Yeah, it's truly my pleasure. Now, the last time that we did speak, you were getting ready to fight for the Cage Warriors title. You won that, and then a month later, you're back in the UFC for your return to action here. How excited are you right now to be back in the big show?
Oh, mate, it's absolutely amazing. Like honestly, uh, the feelings that I have right now to finally as well, like the license plate on my car actually makes sense again. Because before it didn't make any sense. I had UFC on my freaking license plate, and when you talk to people, it's like, oh, well, I'm fighting for Cage Warriors. You know what I mean? So now that that makes sense, I mean, obviously feels amazing now. But you know, um, for me, it's just been again an accumulation of hard work. Fighting through adversity. Overcoming adversity. Coming back after. What for it to all happen so quickly is just like absolutely baffling to me. If you would have told me 16 months ago I would have won the Cage Warriors belt for the second time, we'd be back in the UFC and won my comeback fight in the UFC. I mean, I would have thought you're crazy. So for everything to happen the way that it did, it makes it that much more special for me. And obviously I'm extremely happy, but of course I know there's a lot more work to be done. So I'm going to be right back into training tomorrow.
Very good. Well, you got this short notice opportunity, obviously with Tyson. It came rather quickly. Did that play a factor into your decision to take this shot to get back into the UFC, or is it when they call you just take the opportunity?
Well, this is the thing with me, mate. I'm always training. I'm always staying in shape. I'm always making sure I'm fight ready. My manager did mention after I'd won the title that you should stay ready because an opportunity may arise very quickly, and so that's essentially what I did. So whatever situation, and I was eyeing up like what like heavyweights are fighting in future and what cards, and where could I possibly get in on it. So I was always just trying to make sure I'm always trying to improve my skill sets, and then yeah, when the time comes, be ready. And then I was just so fortunate that the opportunity came very quickly after the last fight.
And when going in against Tyson, I mean, we know how dangerous of a fighter he is. What was the game plan? Did you have one, or are you just going to kind of go in there and just let it flow and let the fight come to you?
Yeah, exactly that. Just let the fight come to me, let it flow. Use my skill sets. Obviously, we knew, like we'd already sort of tried to figure out within that short space of time what his tendencies were, what things he likes to do, how he looked in his last couple of fights and stuff like that. So there's certain things that we picked up. Like one of the main things actually was the lead left hook, which we specifically worked on prior to the matchup, which worked very well in the fight. So yeah, man. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to adjust and adapt to whatever is in front of you. And the fact that I was training just to improve my skill sets just made me even more loose and relaxed to be able to just be able to handle the situation even better when it got to it.
So that actually leads right to my next question as far as adjustments during the fight. What did your corner tell you in between, the first, second, and third rounds? What did they want you to kind of tweak as the fight evolved?
Yeah, so Will, one of my main training partners, he was telling me to add more calf kicks. I added a couple. I mean, I should have added a little bit more, but obviously the range and the timing was something that I had to sort of still get used to with Tyson because he's very good with his fakes. He's very good with his movement. I mean, he was getting out of the way of certain shots and stuff like that. But essentially, they were just telling me to keep doing what I'm doing. Just keep, just add the calf kicks in there. Go for the takedown myself if I see it. And obviously, since I was winning the striking exchanges, I kind of wanted to keep it standing. So I got out of a pretty sticky situation in the first round, and then yeah, they just wanted me to have more volume really, and I probably could have had, just looking back on it, I probably could have had more volume than what I did, but when it came to actually landing particular shots, I was able to get my shots off and land on the target, which is what you want to win the fight. So I was happy I was able to do that.
I tend to ask this next question a lot, but it seems to just be par for the course with fights nowadays. You went to the judges. How confident did you feel? I mean, we've seen a lot of wacky decisions. Did you feel you did enough to win?
So at first, like when we went to the judge's decision, I definitely in my head the way that the fight had been playing out, and especially the way I ended that last round, I thought I should have this. Now, as soon as Bruce Buffer said unanimous decision, I was like, it's got to go to me. At that point, I felt pretty confident that I was going to get the decision. But if he would have said split decision, then I would have been like, bloody hell! Like I don't know if it's because obviously you're in Australian turf. You're in enemy territory essentially. So being the away guy, it wouldn't look good if it was a split decision. But when he said unanimous decision, I felt pretty confident that I would get the nod.
How did you like playing the role of the Black Cat? How were the fans to you? Were they nice, or were they yelling some obscenities?
Nah, the fans were great. I mean, listen, I think they were just playing the role of, listen, he's the bad guy. He's the away guy. He's from London. We want to, we want to make it as hard as possible for him to have to be in our stadium, in our home turf. So obviously that's just what happens. I mean, they'll do the same if I was fighting an away guy in my hometown. If I was fighting in London, they'll be booing them. So especially if it was an American. But so I fully expected that going in, and I felt the energy of that, and I loved it. I actually loved the fact that I was being booed. Like in a way, it kind of just made me feel even more like primal and like being like a gladiator type deal. And then, but in all fairness, they were absolutely amazing. They definitely got into the fight just from like the oohs and ahs that were coming out. And yeah, at the end when I was walking backstage, I got a standing ovation from some of the people in the stadium. So that was really lovely. I had people like holding their hands out to shake my hand. So yeah, they were absolutely amazing. The crowd were, the crowd were as I expected to be. It was electric and full of energy, and yeah, it was amazing.
And I saw that Pedro said, I believe it was after the fight, he came out and said that he was sick the night before. What is your take on that? And do you feel like that's almost like he's making an excuse?
Well, look, in all fairness, he did send me a message and say, please don't think that, this has taken anything away from your victory. You won fair and square and stuff like that. And obviously, it was a very nice message. He is a gentleman. He's a lovely guy, and stuff like that. So yeah, it might have affected him, of course, but you got to also take into consideration the fact that I took the fight on such short notice and I flew into his home country, with such a massive time difference. On Wednesday morning, I got there at 4 in the morning. So obviously, as much as and I hope that medically he's okay and that everything's all good with him. But I also had to face some adversity, having to come 4 days after landing, pretty much fighting. I'm pretty sure that played an effect in terms of my gas tank as well. So you could say that realistically, we probably entered the cage on a level playing field. So yeah, man. Look, it is what it is. I think every fighter has certain things that are bothering them going into fights. But at the end of the day, he's an absolute gentleman. He's a great fighter. I really respect him, and that's that.
Okay, I love that answer. Now, did you get a chance to kind of kick back and watch the co-main and main event? And I just wanted to get your take on the Volkanovski Makachev fight, just your overall thoughts on how that fight transpired.
Both those fights were absolutely spectacular. Do you know what? It was a very close fight. I mean, it really shows you how good bloody Volkanovski is. To do so well against such an elite level grappler such as Islam, one that's in a obviously a weight class above. I thought Volkanovski really showed his mettle in that fight. He did really well, but also Islam did very well as well to neutralize certain things, and it just showed you how good his bloody grappling is. You know what I mean? So I thought that was an amazing main event, and the co-main event as well. Yair Rodriguez is a he's a beast. I mean, bloody hell, the kicks that he was throwing out, the way he was able to just stay calm in every position, and then the way he locked up that triangle was very slick. So it was very amazing fight, but it just shows you what it's like to be at like the top of the top. That is the fights you see of fighters who are at the cream of the crop, like the pinnacle, the top of the UFC, and it's amazing to see, man. It's very inspiring.
So it looks like Volk will be taking on Yair next for the featherweight title. I just want to get a couple of way too early predictions. Who do you see winning that if that fight happens next? And if Volkanovski rematches Makhachev, do you think we're going to see a different outcome?
Yeah, well, these are very good questions, sir. And do you know what? I I really do believe Volkanovski is just on a whole nother level compared to a lot of these featherweights. So I would see Volkanovski still winning that fight against Rodriguez. Just the wrestling, his striking still very good. He's got that city kickboxing style along with the wrestling and the grappling himself. And if they were to rematch again, I'm giving Volkanovski a lot of praise, but I do see him making the particular adjustments because it was such a close fight. Like, I mean, a round here or there could have been scored like differently. So, I definitely think taking that into consideration and obviously the adjustments that would be made for both fighters. But I think Volkanovski would probably get the nod in both of those particular matchups, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm not mad at that. I'm a Volk fan, so I would like to see that. We'll see what the UFC does moving forward. But yeah, a lot of great fights at both featherweight and lightweight. Now, as far as your contract goes, you signed the new deal. Is it a 4-fight deal?
Yeah, it's a 4-fight deal. Yeah.
And are you happy with how they're compensating you monetarily?
Oh yeah, 100%, man. I mean, it's definitely the most money that I've ever made. Of course, you know, in order to earn your spot and earn what you're going to be getting paid, you've got to put on the performances, right? So, I came up short in my first stint with the UFC, and I didn't live up to the expectations that I was given. So this time around, I'm definitely looking forward to doing that, and then that's when you'll be able to renegotiate and do certain things, and really change your life. Already what I've been given is absolutely amazing, but of course, as every fighter, you want to make as much as you can and strive to reap as much of the riches as you can from this game because it's a very short-lived game. So yeah, but at the minute, obviously, I'm happy, and as my stock rises and everything else rises, of course, I'll be looking to get compensated for that. But the main thing is I've got to go out and prove myself. We've taken the first step, and now we're just going to keep on doing it.
Do you feel more pressure now that you're back in the UFC? Obviously, you don't want to lose and get cut again or not get re-signed, and getting back a third time. We don't really see that a lot. So, is there more pressure on you now to go in there and just be the best version of yourself?
I don't know, man. I think there's less pressure. You know, I think there's less pressure because my skill set has evolved, and also I'm going to be taking the necessary steps in order to give myself the best chances of obviously succeeding and making right smart moves. Fight. I'll be working my way up slowly. Going step by step. I mean, listen, if I get a massive opportunity, I'm going to take it. And you've got to believe in yourself at the end of the day. I think there's less pressure when you really and truly believe in yourself and you do the appropriate work to back yourself up. So, I had a problem of letting go inside the fights and, really showing my true capabilities. But clearly, as shown by the Pedro fight, I'm having a lot less issues with showing out my true capabilities. So, moving forward, I think I'll be able to my confidence has only grown from here. This is why it's so exciting for me because I didn't have that same pull or that same the reaction that I have this time. So as these fights keep going on, I will keep showing more of what I can do. My confidence will grow, and I will do what I have to do in there, which is get the wins, keep racking up the wins. I truly believe in myself, and yeah, I'm looking forward to put on more performances.
How good is Jamal Hill, and what was your takeaway from that fight that he put together over Glover Teixeira?
He did really well. One thing I noticed is that he fought orthodox for quite a lot of the fight, and he's a southpaw. So this is why it just shows you that switching stance is a big key in the game. You've got to be able to do it. So he did an amazing job. He did an amazing job to neutralize the wrestling, which just shows an increase in his takedown defense. Obviously, he's got very heavy hands. He's a great fighter. He seems to be a much more well-rounded fighter. And yeah, he's leading at the top of the division. So obviously, all of us are looking to, he's got a massive target on his back. We want everything that he wants or that he's got. So of course, that is something that we're going to be are going to be looking to hopefully be able to challenge for that belt at some stage. So of course, he is like the almost like the benchmark of what we want to go and defeat. So at the end of the day, this is what we're doing. All of us are hungry to go and take what's his, and rightly so. You know, this is the fight game.
Where do you think you fit in right now in the 205 division? And a year from now, when you look forward to where you're at, do you anticipate that you're going to be cracking that top 15?
100%, man. I mean, you know, like I said, I just got to take things step by step, day by day, fight by fight, and you know, and slowly but surely, things will only get better. All you got to do is just keep winning, right? So yeah, I think within a year, I'll definitely be within the top 15 or the top 10, and you know, it's the way I envision it. I do want to be fighting for a belt by the time I'm 31. So, you know, I've got a lot of time. I'm gonna just keep improving, keep working on my skill sets, but I envision, you know, holding that belt by the time I'm 31. And yeah, I'm just going to stay true to that, keep working hard. And, you know, at the end of the day, it's up to me to go and make my dreams come true.
Time frame. When can we expect to see you back in there?
I was hoping to try and get on the UFC London card. I was hoping. But I mean, it's going to be a very long ask, especially considering that the card is stacked at the minute. And, you know, I'm not sure who'd want to take a pretty short notice fight in about 4 weeks' time. But obviously, it would be amazing to fight in front of a hometown crowd at the O2. But, you know, it is what it is. Whatever happens, I'm back in training. You know, I've just went on my 5 mile run today. You know, I'll be doing my jiu-jitsu tomorrow. I'll be back in like proper. So I'll be ready for whatever opportunity arises. But yeah, I'm guessing if the London fight doesn't happen, then we're probably going to be looking at about 8, 10 weeks before I'm in there again. Whatever happens, I'll be ready for whatever my manager has for me next.
Well, I got to tell you, I'm very happy to see you back in the UFC, my man, and congrats on a great performance over a tough opponent. I think that's what makes it even that much more impressive that you went in there and you beat Tyson the way that you did. Great talking to you again. Thank you for coming back on the show. Before we do sign off, I want to kick it over to you, give you the floor. Please tell people where they can follow you on social media. If you have anyone to thank, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Also, I've got to say thank you so much, my man. You've always been so kind, and you've been a support, and I really appreciate you, my man. It's always lovely talking to you. So on social medias, and on Instagram, it's MODYB24. So ModiB24. On Twitter, it's at Baltic Gladiator. On TikTok, it's at Baltic Gladiator. Um, and yeah, I just, you know, I've got a lot of people again that have just been a mainstay in my camp. I've got to thank, obviously, mainly first and foremost is my dad. I've got to thank Will Curry, a massive addition to my team, and he's like family to me. Same like BST Academy and Danny Batten. Absolutely amazing help from those guys. Prometheus Combat. Pure Jiu Jitsu, Aria Estefanmes, absolutely amazing coach, has helped me level up my game. Hodger Gracie's Academy. Yeah, Distinct Physiotherapy. She's been helping me out whenever I need it. So she's absolutely amazing. Got me back to full form. So got to give her a massive shout out. Fighter Shop UK. They literally sort me out with amazing walkout t-shirts as well. And anytime I need any help, he always sorts me out. And yeah, like I've had a lot of people that have been sponsoring me and helping me, and you lot know who you are. And I've got to say thank you, because the level of support and amazing people that are around me is beautiful. And you know, I'm looking forward to us collectively together working our way towards the top. It's an amazing thing we have here. Life is good, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the future. So much love to everyone.